Are you considering buying a house? Here's 6 things I suggest you consider before making that purchase. When buying a house, there's certain things that you can and you cannot change. So the first thing I suggest you consider before buying a house is, does this floor plan work for me? One example would be if you're buying a home that has 2 bathrooms, for example, but they're on different levels. So 1 bathroom with 3 bedrooms on the upstairs level, downstairs you have a bedroom and a bathroom. Well, if you're considering adding to your family and you want to be on the same level as your children, having 1 bathroom on that level is something that's not going to be very convenient for you. Another example would be too many stairs. As we all start to age, stairs is something that gets factored in quite a bit. So make sure that when you're purchasing your home, that the stairs are something that's manageable for you now and will be manageable for you for as long as you intend to stay in that house. Number 2, be honest with yourself about what you're willing to do and not do to renovate the house. So many times I'm with clients and they're going through a house like, oh, I'll change this, I'm going to change that, we'll renovate this. And then they go to their house 2 years later and they haven't done anything. So I do say that when you're in a home, make sure you're very realistic with your house and that it's very close to where you want to be, or if it's not, and you do want to do a big renovation, make sure that all the information and data points are gathered ahead of time, such as how long the renovation will take, where you're going to stay during that renovation, and how much money that renovation is going to cost you. Number 3, location can't be changed. You can modify a house, you can renovate a house, but you can never change the location. So make sure that you've done your research on the location. Make sure that the commute is okay for you. Make sure that the schools are what you want, and make sure that you've spent enough time in that area before you actually make a purchase there, so that you're very familiar with what you're going to be experiencing while you live there. And number 4, don't try to force it. Don't try to make a house that really doesn't work for you all of a sudden work for you just because you might like the kitchen or you might like one aspect of it. Make sure that the house overall checks your major boxes and try not to buy that house based on emotion. Try your best to buy a house based on logic. And now for a quick TV timeout. Are you thinking of buying a house in Maryland, DC, or Northern Virginia? Well, I'd love to talk with you more and be a resource for you. Should you have any questions about how the process should work or what to expect, please give me a call, 301-452-3245. And here's the rest of my information below. Now back to the video. Number 5, have a worst case exit strategy. What I mean by that is, if you had to relocate 6 months from now or a year from now, the odds of your house drastically appreciating are going to be slim to none. By the time you factor in expenses to sell your house, by the time you factor in expenses that you've already paid to purchase that house, you're really going to want to make sure that if you do have to leave that house quickly, that you can at least cover or come close to covering your monthly mortgage expenses. So make sure that it'll rent out close to what your monthly payment is, or make sure that you could Airbnb it. So try to make sure that there's some ways to offset that expense should you have to unexpectedly leave that house before you ever saw planned. Number 6, I oftentimes get asked the question, how do I know if it's the right house for me? Well, I do say start with a feeling and make sense of it from there. So yes, you should buy a house on logic, but you also want to have that feeling that you could be happy there and see yourself there. So start with the feeling that, yes, I could be very happy here. And then let's go make sense of it. Is this the right house floor plan wise? Is this a house that's in the school district that I want? Is this a house that the commute will be acceptable for me? We'll make sense of the purchase, but what we want to make sure is you have that feeling of happiness and warmth while you're in that home, and we can go from there. What about you? I'd love to hear in the comment section what has gone right for you when buying a house, what has gone wrong for you when buying a house, or what you're considering right now if you're thinking about buying a house. And if you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.